Hey, happy Sunday. This is PFG Live, and welcome aboard. It's 2 o'clock on the East Coast. It's something else on the other coasts, and we have a full house here in Discord right now. We are enjoying the company of Tuck, DBX, Josh, Daniel, Lance, Unix Carbide, WidgetWorks, Michael Juan, Warren Jones. Josh gives us an audio check on YouTube. Thank you very much. CJ Stevens checking in with 56 and cloudy in the only town named Strawberry Plains. Welcome, sir. Who else is here? We've got in Discord. We've got Tuck is reporting 47 degrees Fahrenheit and cloudy in Buffalo, New York. Very chilly in the garage. Josh says the YouTube elevator music gets a check mark. Thank you very much. With a METAR from Charlie X-Ray Mike Delta up in Canada. He's reporting winds 290 at 11 knots, temperature 13, dew point -8 remarks, peak winds 280 at 19. Wow. WidgetWorks says it's 11C and cloudy from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Josh says good audio. Thank you very much. Robert Simpson says, new hold music on YouTube? Yes. Yes, of course. We always look to improve our product. 48 degrees sunny near Detroit. Thank you. Warren Jones up in Sutton, New Hampshire, my neighbor to the north. 58 degrees Fahrenheit and cloudy and breezy. Remarks, unrepeatable on radio. Michael Juan says 9 degrees science and cloudy from Pittsburgh in the Pennsylvania. Welcome, sir. Test Room 2003 says hi from Ustkapella, 7 degrees science, relative humidity 65%. Welcome aboard, sir. So things are different here. I have completely rejiggered everything. So if you see me like looking in the wrong direction, pushing wrong buttons, you'll know why. But it's all good. We're figuring it out. So let's see. Unix Carbide reports a 0.001 degree, 1 inch, 1,000th of an inch variance temperature in Brooklyn, New York. Now, if you don't know what he's talking about, Unix Carbide. Actually, Unix, do you want to explain to the kind people what on earth you're doing? If you want to do that, just turn on your video and you can tell them.
Sure. Yeah. So I ended up passing when I was getting some other tools, passing a Stone. I don't have any ceramic gauge blocks or really need for them. And I shouldn't have been allowed to actually own any.
Is there, do you need a license in the state of New York? Do you require a license for,
you require a license. Okay. Maybe I shouldn't be on video with this. So I grabbed this Stone. It's 0.050 inches, and grabbed a matching steel block of the same grade. They're both grade 0 for what that's worth. And I thought, it's fun. I want to measure the difference between these two. And I've quickly found that I'm at my capacity for capability to measure difference for these two at this thickness. But I thought, this is actually kind of neat to show the practical realities in my world of like, what's the temperature? In August, I'm looking forward to seeing what it's like in here and what the actual difference is going to be.
So your measurement requires a differential measurement between a ceramic gauge block and a steel gauge block. And
correct.
And as temperature changes, they're going to change their height differently. And
contract.
Yeah, pretty cool. Now, you correctly point out that you're using a 50,000th gauge block, right?
Yeah.
So it's you're looking for a super teeny weeny itty bitty difference.
It's not going to move much. Yeah, it was a deal. As I think Bakafish pointed out, you're the guy who got the thin gauge blocks, man. You got the problem now. Well, it was right there, and it was very cheap. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but if you go buy a couple of 4-inch gauge blocks, I think the differential between those two would be much bigger.
I think they'll move a lot more.
And I think your credit card would move a lot more too.
Yeah. Yep. So, and I'll still have a lousy thermometer.
Okay,
That's
excellent. Thank you, sir. Well, that was interesting. All right. So, just making, see, this is one of those cases where I'm making some changes here. We're doing it live. One of these days, I'll talk about the changes. Oh, we have Oscar checking in. He says, hello, 1 degrees science in South Finland. Welcome, Oscar. Nice to see you. Practical Renaissance says, hello, 11 degrees science, 29% relative humidity, and all around sunny here in Kansas City, Missouri. RJ's Workshop reports outside Laramie, Wyoming, sunny, 45 degrees Fahrenheit, 55% relative humidity, winds southeast at 11 miles an hour, and the ice is melting. That's the best thing we heard all day. Excellent. Did we get you, everybody? We missed... No, we got Michael on. Okay, good. So here in Windham, New Hampshire right now, it's 55 degrees Fahrenheit, 37% relative humidity, kind of dry. And the winds are out of the west-southwest at 10 miles an hour. It is actually pretty nice, but it's cloudy. Manchester Airport reported 10-mile visibility, broken at 6,500, overcast at 25,000, temperature 12, dew point -5, altimeter 29er, 85. Remarks are unimportant. So welcome, everybody. It's been a busy week, fun week, busy, most busy up in the lab, working for a client. Not a ton of shop time. In fact, yesterday I went down and started making stones. We've got a pile of 4-inch stones in the pipeline, trying to get those going. So I had some grinding time yesterday. I may have some grinding time today. That's a little bit of the shop report. We have stickers. We have some new stickers. I just wanted to share with you. You already saw this one. This is the sticker in honor of Ox Tools. Every gauge block starts on a saw. This is a sticker that we have in stock now. Here's a new sticker that I designed for the NOS. Stay focused with a cross section of the NOS. That's the same image that's published on the website. The other one, which again you probably saw before if you've been with us, in honor of Widget Works, we do this not because it is easy, but because we thought it would be. And finally, announcing a brand new sticker in honor of our friend in Tokyo, Baka Fish, and here it is. You can't just carrot things willy-nilly. That's chaos. From Baka Fish. So these are available. We'll figure out how to get them to you if you want them. And stay tuned. Basically, you'll have to get me your address and I'll send some out. So that's some of the fun stuff that's been going on here in the shop. And that's been good. So we have a few topics today besides the random stuff. By the way, if you have random topics that you want to talk about, don't hesitate to put them in the chat, and we'll definitely get to them today. But I guess the biggest news is that the 3-inch ToolMakers Flat finally got its first taste of lapping. It was this morning, and I did not have time. I didn't have a ton of time to spend on it, but I wanted to get it to first base. And I think I can report that we got the 3-inch ToolMakers Flat P1 to first base. And as you can see in the thumbnail for this video and in the picture on your screen, this was after some lapping with 3-micron diamond. I think I have a better picture. Hang on. Let's see. A slightly better picture. We threw the optical flat on there, and voila. First glance, it is absolutely gorgeous. So I will point out, as I am wont to do, I think if I hang on a second, let's try something. Try it. No, I couldn't try the trick. But in the 6 o'clock position of the flat, there is a little defect, which is fine. That will come out with further lapping. But other than that, it came out pretty stinking nice. So I'm very, very pleased. I can report also that the let me see. I'm trying to get to an image. Let's see. There we go. The setup works really well. So there's the covers for the laps are nice and they're useful, and the cover that goes over the conditioning lap that prevents you from resting your hand on it accidentally and getting black all over your hand, that works great. The capturing of the laps by the acrylic sheet works great. I did not put I'm getting a telepathic message from Robin. I did not put any rubber under them. And the interesting thing is they do slide around a little bit, and the acrylic captures them. There's 20, 30 thousandths of play. Everything worked great. I was super happy. And the handle, the thermal isolation and handle that goes around the flat itself also worked great. So I was very, very happy. Hey, good morning to Machine New Zealand. Welcome aboard. Nice to see you directly on the other side of the planet. Not quite directly. I know. Don't get on my case. By the way, if you did go directly to the other side of the planet from where I'm sitting, the closest population center you would hit, does anybody want to guess? This is a good thing to guess. Does anybody want to guess what the closest population center to the antipode, the place opposite the opposite side of the Earth, what would it be from here? Anybody want to guess? I'll stand by. I'll wait. Tuck is typing. Tuck says, totally correctly, Atlantis. Well, if you're, to be completely accurate, you are correct. It ends up in the water. If you say that's where Atlantis is, I believe you. But the nearest population center from where you are drowning in that body of water is, anybody? Augusta. Not quite right. No. Although having heard about Augusta, I could understand why you might say that. No, we'll give it one more. Come on, give me one more good guess. If I drilled a hole through the earth, through the center, and I popped out somewhere. Nobody. Tuck's typing. So, New Zealand, incorrect. So I'll give you the answer. The answer is, nobody's typing. I don't want to step on anybody. The answer is Perth, Australia. Perth, Australia. So if you live Sri Lanka, no, that's way off. If you live in Perth, Australia, you are as far from me as is likely, unless you have a boat. So the whole lapping mission was a rip-roaring success. The shape of the lap of the ToolMakers Flat is as close to perfect as I can tell in this first go around. So stay tuned. What are my plans? My plans for this thing to finish the lapping job, I will tell you that I did not clean the laps. So this is something that I'm going to have to. Oh, look, if you're on Discord and if you look in your screen, DBX just posted a link to antipodesmap.com. And that helps you figure out what is on the other side of the planet from you. And if you do that, you'll find out you are, in fact, in the water if you go to the other side from me. But you can swim to Perth from there. So I took my laps and I did not clean them. They've been face to face with each other for months. And I didn't clean them. I didn't replace the diamonds that were on them. It was a very dark black, thick goop. I did have to add some diamond slurry in order to get the adhesion, to get it to slide nicely during the lapping process. But that's all I did. And now I'm thinking that I really do want to give it a cleaning. I just want to clean it and give it a scrub with soap and water and just get it all cleaned up and start over again. But I'm encouraged because without a lot of preparation, without a lot of careful cleaning, we got flat. Flat we got is the message. So I got challenged. Let's see. Oh, here's the weather report from Machine New Zealand. 6:11 a.m. 13 degrees science, humidity 88%, and it's dark at the moment. Well, welcome aboard. Hugh Mack says, will they be as flat or flatter than a gauge block? They will be gauge block flatness. That is the whole point here. And right now, if you look at this, we haven't talked a lot recently about reading an optical flat, measurement. But if you look on your screen, and if you go back, there's a video that I did called "Setting Up for Precision Hand Lapping." It's a very popular video on my channel. I did a little insert on that video about how to read and interpret and work with this pattern that you see in front of you. So let me back up a little bit. If you're not familiar with how an optical flat measurement works, let me just describe it to you. We lap a part flat, okay, or what we hope is flat. We clean it. We then take an optical flat, which is the piece of glass that you see in the picture. That is your standard for flat. The optical flats are usually measured rated in flatness in terms of wavelengths of light. Wavelengths at 584 nanometers, I believe, wavelength. That's the wavelength of helium, a helium lamp, which has become the standard. And this, if you look at this picture, you notice this yellowish color. That's the wavelength. Okay, it is a yellowish color of light. So the optical flats are rated to a 20th of a wavelength or a 10th of a wavelength or such. So this is one of those optical flats. I don't remember the exact rating on it. So you take the optical flat, you put it onto the surface you're trying to measure, and you just let it sit there. And what happens is you end up with a cushion of air between the optical flat and the work that you're measuring. The optical flat will it will contact the work at one edge, and then it will float. So there'll be a wedge of air under it. So the distance between those two surfaces creates two reflections, one from the bottom of the optical flat and one from the top of the part. Those two reflections will reflect the monochromatic light separated by a distance, and if they are a multiple of a half wavelength, they will if they're an even multiple of a quarter wavelength, they'll reinforce. If they're an odd multiple of a quarter wavelength, they will cancel. Josh, I got your question. Stand by. So because it's wedge shaped, it's like an even multiple. As you go down the line, it's an even multiple, odd multiple, even multiple, odd multiple, even multiple, odd multiple. Okay, and that's why you get these bands. So as you look at this picture, what if I told you the lower right corner is actually touching where the bands seem to lead you to in the lower right corner? That's touching, and in the upper right corner, it's floating on the air. And the way you can't tell this from a picture, I'm telling you this because I was there. But if you take a Sharpie, for example, or something that isn't your finger, and you touch the optical flat down on one edge, and then you touch it on the other edge, one of those sides is not going to move anything, and the other one is going to drastically change the pattern. That's where the air cushion is. So that's how you determine where the wedge is. This is cool stuff. So go back and watch that video if you're interested, and I will explain to you in that video how this all works. Josh asks, does the air wedge settle out? No. At those dimensions, air is like grease. Okay, think of the viscosity of grease. If I put a dollop of grease on your kitchen table, and I put a dish on it, is it ever going to completely flatten out? The answer is no. But it'll settle, and then one edge will hit, and then now it's taken away the pressure, so it's going to just sit there. That's what's going on. So air is thicker than you think, like a lot thicker than you think. We think air is, is air. It's not nothing there. But it's pretty thick. And if you fly an airplane, you're depending on it to be nice and thick. And if you're in your shop running fans, if you're moving air around and you look at your electric bill, you will also recognize how thick air is. So no, it's one of the miracles of this whole process is it just sits there. Now, you can manipulate the optical wedge. This is a deep topic. I don't think we're going to dive into this today, but you can manipulate the optical flat so that the lines, the interference fringes that you see, can get spaced further apart by squeezing the wedge down physically and trying to get it a little closer to parallel. So then the lines will spread apart. And that's a whole thing. And I didn't have time to mess with it a lot today. What we're looking for is the straightness and the uniformity of the spacing between the lines. Typically, we'll try to get the optical flat to show the interference pattern and then manipulate the flat so that it shows its pattern 90 degrees out. So then you'll basically get the same picture in two axes, and then you get a complete picture of the flatness. I did that, and I could tell you that it didn't change. So this is a very good result. This is a phenomenal result. And I'm very, very happy with it. The fact that we did all the grinding and got it nice, as nice as the grinder can get it within limits, makes the lapping easier. So if I was starting with something that was machined, not ground, and I went directly to lapping, I'd have a lot more work ahead of me, which is totally possible. See, for example, Tom Lipton's videos on generating flat laps from using the Whitworth method and not using the grinder. So totally possible. Anyway, that's the results from this morning. The ToolMakers Flat is looking really super good. Very happy with it. And stay tuned. I was challenged. WidgetWorks, who's with us here in the Discord, challenged me. He said, "Does it ring? Can you ring to it?" So I had a couple of minutes after lunch, and I ran downstairs and I cleaned it and I tried to ring to it, and it's not quite ready for ringing. It's really close, but I think we need a little more lapping. The other thing we need a little finer lapping. So this is 3 micron diamond. My next step is to get another pair of laps set up with 1 micron diamond. WidgetWorks asks, is the RA too high still? I have not measured the RA in the condition it's in right now. I'd be happy to do that. I just did not do it yet. So watch for a post later, and I'll throw the Mitutoyo on it and measure RA. So if you don't know what RA is a measure of surface roughness. And we did a surface roughness measurement on it. It was at RA at about 11 to 12 microinches. And then we'll measure it again in the lap state for fun. But once we drop down to 1 micron diamond, I think we will be in, gauge block territory. And things should work out pretty well. So that's the update on the ToolMakers Flat. I'm very, very happy with it. And looking forward to bringing it in for a landing. So the goal, and this goes back to the question that where is he? The goal that was asked, the question I was asked is it as good as a gauge block? The answer is, when I'm done with it, the answer is yes. And getting, oh, there it is. Hugh Mack asked me this. And getting that over a 3-inch diameter surface is non-trivial. That's the hard part. So Proteum Machining, hey, welcome, Dylan. Nice to see you. Proteum says RZ is the more impressive measurement to get low. Yeah, we'll talk about that. But we're bringing this in for a landing. This is looking really good. So stay tuned for that. As it happens. So a couple of weeks ago, we talked about making some parts for DBX, and there was this threaded part that I was making out of 4142 steel that was kicking my butt with respect to threading. So 4142 steel is a pre-hardened steel, and it's pretty hard. So tapping it is non-trivial. And I ended up getting the job done with a new tap and with Molly D and a lot of muscle. Here's the part. But originally I tried to tap it on the lathe, and I used a carbide tool. And I said, well, maybe I'll get the Micro 100 tool and the associated tool holder. And I'm like, oh, we're racking up like a $300 bill or something to do that. And I found this relatively inexpensive tool, which was a threading tool to go, in a boring operation. And let's see if I could find it for you. I decided that I would invest in that tool and give it a shot. Unfortunately, I had a tool holder available that had a V groove in the bottom for the lathe. And I took this tool that I bought from Redline, which was a carbide tool, threading tool. This is an ID threading tool. And I put it in the V groove, and I held it down with one of the set screws. And it looked pretty good, except for the fact that it wasn't pretty good. And the amount of pressure that threading tool had at its tip in the 4142 steel, multiplied by the arm, right, the length of the tool leading up to where it was secured with that set screw and that V groove, that was a lot of pressure, and it did not fare well at all. So it ended up flexing. It ended up chipping, so the tool got chipped. But toward the end of the debacle, I was looking downward on the tool, and I literally was watching it flex. And I believe that it wasn't flexing. It was literally rotating in the tool holder with an axis of the set screw. It was very unimpressive. And once I saw that happening, I'm like, okay, you bozo, that was a really bad idea. So I wrote that off to tuition. We got the job hand tapped. And then I said, you know what? I'm just going to do it. Yeah, Hugh Max says 2 set screws. Couldn't do 2 set screws because there wasn't enough shank on the inexpensive tool from Redline Tools. Again, I saved a lot of money, didn't I? So if there's time enough to do it right, there's time enough to do it once. So I ended up, well, let me see. I think I have a picture here of the what the tools look like next to each other, because that's instructive. There we go. So if you're playing with us on video, the tool at the top is the Redline tool. The tool at the bottom is the Micro 100. Much more to hold on to, much more secure. far better system, and you pay for it. So this tool was over $100, and the Redline tool was $75. And I'm remembering these numbers roughly. So much better solution. And the holder, of course, is very close tolerance and very, very beefy. So I do not have results for you yet. I have to put this tool to the test and actually get it cutting. But if you just look at it, it's like, okay, this is what I should have done in the first place. So the total setup was a boring tool holder from Schar's. Again, not the greatest quality, but enough to do the job. I inspected it. Looked pretty good. I have video on this that's coming. The holder from Micro 100, which is a 1/2 inch diameter Micro 100 quick change style. And, of course, the tool itself. So now I have the 1/2 inch Micro 100 set up for the boring tools, and I have the 1/4 inch Micro 100 set up for the little tools, which I've used before, and I like them a lot, and that's how I knew about it. But stay tuned for more on this project. We will get you that information, but it was a tuition cost that I was happy to pay because I learned a lot, and sometimes you just have to do it twice to get the knowledge once. K-Bonk is reporting in. He's reporting 53 degrees and cloudy in the Philadelphia, in the Phi of PA. Welcome aboard, sir. Pretty much the same weather here. Almost exactly the same weather here, K-Bonk. So that's the news. It was we did get that part done for DBX, and that will be going out, and we have some more parts that we're going to be making shortly, and we'll explain that as we go. So let's see. Everybody is comfortable. There's some sandwiches in the back of the break room. Help yourself. I wanted to get so. The punchline here is that the expensive stuff is cheaper. I have found this to be true so many times I can't tell you, is that we try to save money. We try to buy the bargain basement stuff. And, even here, I'm buying a Schar's tool holder. I'm not buying an Aloris tool holder. Is that a place that it's okay to make this compromise? I think it is. But there was another place where I made the compromise and tried to save some money, and that was just stupid, and it was not a good idea. So that's that. So we'll take that knowledge and move on.
Give me a ping, Vasily. One ping only, please.
So my son surprised me this week. Jared says, Jared is a very serious gamer. And I'm sure that, we all know people that are in that category. And Jared says, "Hey, Dad, is it okay if we buy a mouse, a gaming mouse, to take apart?" And I said, "Well, what do you want to do?" He says, "Well, I want to take it apart, and I want to redesign some of the pieces because I think I could make it better." And I'm like, Yes, we can. We have budget for that. We can do that. So that was like really cool to hear come out of his mouth. And I said, I will support that mission. Absolutely. So we spent a little time today while I was eating lunch, and he brings over his gaming mouse, which was made by Razer, Razer. And that's a company. I have a Razer left-hand controller sitting right here. And there were things he liked about it, and there were things he didn't like about it. And, he just turned 17. And for him to say, I think I want to redesign this thing, that's pretty good. So we did a couple of things. We talked about what he wanted to do. I said I would pay for the research mouse. Don't they have that in labs now? They have these white mice. So this is kind of like a research mouse. And I also did something that I haven't told him about yet, which is I ordered a Einstar scanner. So I've been looking at 3D scanners for a while and have been fixing to get ready to put in the capability of 3D scanning. There was a couple of projects where 3D scanning would have been Unix Carbide says, get the mouse to grow an ear. That could happen. Oh, interesting. Proteum says Bamboo has a gaming mouse kit if he wants more data, fairly inexpensive. Okay, we will put that on the radar. Thank you very much, Dylan. So I went ahead and I bought a 3D scanner. I bought the Einstar. I talked to Clow42, James Clow. By the way, if you don't follow his channel, I think you'd enjoy it. It's Clow42, CLOUGH42 on YouTube. So I talked to James on email, and because he had reviewed the Einstar, I think about a year ago, and we talked about it, and he came back in an email with a very detailed answer. There's some good things, and there's some less good things, but in general, on average, it was a good tool. So I said, you know what, for under $1,000, let's take this leap and get our first 3D scanner. And you know what? It's not the first 3D scanner. There was an app on the iPhone, which I used. Thank you, Dylan. Yeah, I see that in the chat. There was an app for the iPhone, which I don't remember the name of. Some of you might know what I'm talking about, that you could use as a 3D scanner. And we tried to use it for some, smallish parts. Smallish meaning like the size of a football or smaller. And I did not get good results. I could not. If you were scanning a room, it worked pretty well. Like if you wanted to walk around, scan a room, and get the model of a room, that worked. But for scanning a part, it did not work. I watched Cloud42's video with the Einstar, and he was scanning car parts, actually the front of his car. I'm sorry, he was doing his grinder project. So he was scanning the front of the grinder, and he was getting the shape of where things were going to mount. Another guy on YouTube, well, actually a lot of them when I started doing my research, were doing car projects. So they were scanning the bumpers and the side panels and all sorts of stuff to do car accessories. And they were getting pretty darn good results also. And they pointed out some of the, the things you got to watch out for, et cetera, et cetera. And all of that boiled down to, I think that this will do what I want. So I literally pushed the button on it about an hour ago, and it'll be here. I think it'll be here tomorrow. So we'll be able to start playing with it. One of the things that James said was that this is in the literature if you read it, you need a beefy computer for this thing to plug into, because there's a lot of data. There's a lot of data manipulation. And I think it does a lot of its data crunching on a GPU. So you kind of need a GPU. Unix Carbide says, scan a 3D printed key. So the key is one of our little 3D printed calibration things. So we can go ahead and scan that. Yeah, so that guy is one of the guys, Proteum. That might be the video that I watched. Making for Motorsport, I think is the name of the channel. In fact, I know that that's the video I watched. That's one of the videos I watched. And he helped influence my decision. And you'll notice that the part he's holding is, football size shape. It's a, is that an axle? What do you call that? But anyway, that is one of the videos that influenced me. So stay tuned. Well, I didn't get it for the purposes of making videos. I got it to get some jobs done, but I will obviously make some videos about it. So that's the 3D scanner. Jared's in the chat room. Yes, Jared. Now you know I ordered the scanner. Okay, this is how you find out. Dad ordered the scanner. WidgetWorks says my Creaform 3D scanner makes my Threadripper with 4070 Ti cry a little. In other words, his GPU in the computer, it makes it work. Absolutely. And okay, take care, Machine New Zealand. He's off to work. Now you know he's in New Zealand. Take care, buddy. We'll see you soon. And you can watch the rest later. We'll save it for you. So the computer that I plan on running it on is in fact the computer you're listening to me on right now. So the office machine. It's pretty beefy. In the event of an emergency, down in the basement, hidden in a secret vault, is my antenna simulation computer. Let me tell you, it will not strain that computer. We have the technology. So if I have to, believe me, we could do it. But I think the office computer is going to handle it really well. I checked the specs. I think we're fine. So that's the update. Stay tuned for information on the Einstar coming. And that should be quite interesting. We'll see how that goes. So the goal is, if Jared's got a mouse project, right? If we scan the mouse, we could pull in some of the 3D data. We could bring that into Fusion 360, and now designing can ensue. And we'll go from there. So I'm pretty excited about it. This scanner was meant for several different things. So we're going to buy things and take them apart. So Jared's going to pick a couple of mice or a mouse that he wants to take apart, and we're going to reverse engineer it. And that's the term of art, reverse engineering. And the scanner now will be part of that mission. So stay tuned. So what do you guys got cooking? Who's in the shop this week? Who's got some projects going on? And you guys in Discord, if you want to do this, if you want to give us some input on video, you're welcome to raise your hand, and we'll get you tied in. Proteum says, just got into the shop, powering up the Hermley and a couple of brothers. It sounds like is this the Trust-A-Bro machining center? Is that what this is? Just powering up a couple of brothers? I know that Warren Jones is in there, and he was, I don't think Warren had any heavy equipment going today. Jeff Dumas, welcome aboard. He says he's putting my lapping machines to test. Good, excellent. I want to hear more about it. CJ Stevens says he's cooking a cake. It's his wife's birthday today. Funny thing you should mention that. We're going to have a cheesecake tonight, and I'm looking forward to that. Warren Jones says, I'm in the shop working on a tool head for my portable boring rig. If you haven't seen video of Warren Jones doing portable boring on big, heavy machinery, you don't know what you're missing. It's pretty cool. Oscar's about to cook dinner. There's always time for dinner. Josh says, hoping I didn't start a fire rewiring a motor for a slow-speed grinder. I don't think you're going to start a fire. And if you do, there's an extinguisher nearby. Robert Simpson says he's grinding broken end mills to make CNC router probes. I love it. That's awesome. Unix Carbide says gearing up to finally for first use of the PEI powder-coated 3D print plates that CJ Stevens coded. And CJ Stevens is here somewhere. He was here earlier. That's awesome. So CJ Stevens powder-coated some plates for Unix Carbide, and that's going into his Delta 3D printer, and he's going to try printing on them. WidgetWorks says, I'm still on 24-hour standby waiting for more GE power turbine shims to grind. So he's been grinding these special shims for turbines, which sounds simple, but it's kind of got to be right. CJ Stevens says, I hope it works out. Well, stay tuned because your buddy in New York is about to try it. RJ says he's in the shop and spending some quality time with the broom. Just remember, RJ, if there's time to lean, there's time to clean. Excellent. Well, this is a lot of fun. My shop time later today will be spent grinding stones, which is all set up. That's the nice thing. Setup is done. I just have to go downstairs and crank them out. If anybody has any questions that you want to ask, now is the time. We have a few minutes. We're going to keep this tight today because I've got a birthday dinner to attend to, and we'll see where that goes. Do we have any of you guys? Oh, yes, Dylan, you're going to pick on me. Dylan says, are there any thoughts on the new Formlabs Form 4? And for that, I can say,
we interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Yes, I have thoughts. The first thought was, I want one. So I own a Formlabs 3 Plus resin printer. I think the term of art is SLA. And I love it. And in fact, I use it to make products. So the NOS is made on a Formlabs printer using one of the engineering resins called Tough 1500, which is a polypropylene analog, and it works great. And it's just a fantastic product. Every PFG stone that goes out the door has been ground with the NOS feeding the coolant and keeping the area clean and the tool happy. So they surprised me delightfully by releasing the information on YouTube about the new Form 4. And it's very different. Like the Form 3 Plus is a laser that's painting on the bottom of the reservoir. And if you don't know how the resin printing works, it literally is curing the resin that's touching the bottom of the reservoir. And yeah, it's exactly where I'm going. Proteum says, I was really surprised to see them going to an LCD-based system. Me too. Because I thought part of their secret sauce was this laser. So the laser would scan in Y and move in X with a ball screw. The new system looks at first glance more conventional in that they have an LCD screen that's the shutter controlling the light coming up from the bottom. Then they have custom optics. It's still pretty impressive, but it is really a completely different technology in the bottom half. Having said that, it's fast, and that's something that I think they realized was they were going to get immediately by going that way. They were going to get speed because the laser painting the lines and being moved physically across seems slower than the exposure of a whole layer at once coming from the bottom. But they got such good results out of it, it was going to be hard to beat. Well, it looks like they have figured out how to do it. The 4 is also a bigger bed area, a bigger print area, and that makes me interested. Not crazy because most of my parts are plenty small. I really like it. I may drop a dime and call them and say, "Hey, you want to do a deal?" So they're actually, if I drove from where I'm sitting right now right into their main office, it would be under an hour. It would be 45 minutes. So they're pretty close to me. and I've been in their headquarters. So Dylan says, I didn't realize till that video that they have a true silicone resin now. I don't know anything about it. I'm looking forward to learning more. Hey, Oscar's got to go watch a soccer game coming on. Take care, buddy. Enjoy the soccer game. You actually bring up a really good point, Dylan, because the resin containers in the Form 3 have this funky shape to them. They're kind of imagine a rectangle with a channel cut out on one side. And the new resin containers are like almost logical. They're just rectangular prisms. And it looks like a jug of milk. That actually makes a lot of sense to me, and I was actually pleased to see that. There was a few reasons for that. I think that there were a few reasons for the shape that they used in the 3, but I really like that they went to a more logical shape in the 4. So yes, I did not pay attention to that, but Dylan says it looks nice that you can replace it with the door open or closed too. Absolutely true. Okay, so you got me motivated now. So this week, I will drop a dime. I will call the guys at Form Labs, and I will talk to them about maybe getting a unit up here. We'll see what happens. Not an emergency, but it would be a lot of fun, wouldn't it? So stay tuned. I'll let you know. The Form Labs resin printers have been spectacular. I hate to use this cliche, but they're kind of the Apple of 3D printers, where, on the one hand, you're in a walled garden. You have to use their resin, and you have to use their software and all that kind of stuff. On the other hand, it just works, and it works very well. And I don't find it excessively expensive to run their printers, but it is more expensive than running some of the hobby printers. I will tell you a story, though, and I know I've told this story before, but it's worth retelling. When I was researching the resin printers and I called up Form Labs. This was after Prusa pissed me off, okay? And I dumped them because they have a resin printer. Not going to retell that story. I went looking. I found Form Labs. It was going to cost me not quite double what I was going to spend, and I was ready to do it at that point. They said, come on down. We'd be happy to host you. So they gave me the cook's tour of the place, and it was pretty phenomenal. But I said, part of the tour, we go into their printing farm, their printer farm, and we walk in, and there's like 30 or 40 printers on the shelves. Some of them are running, some of them are on standby. It was pretty impressive, and they were all Form 3s at the time. And I stood there and I went, and I'm sniffing. I'm like, I don't smell anything. I said, tell me about your air handling and your filtering and how you handle the fumes. And he looked at me like I was, like, what do you mean? I'm like, I don't smell anything. One of the big things everybody worries about with resin printing is the smell and the fumes and how to deal with it. And I smell nothing. He says, no, we don't have any problem with that because it's our resin and it doesn't smell. And I'm like, holy cow. And if I was not standing there surrounded by 30 printers, I wouldn't have believed it either. And then next door was their washing room, right, where they have the washing and curing machines. And there they had a vent and a fan and stuff for isopropyl alcohol. But the resin didn't smell. Meanwhile, a buddy of mine who lives up the street, he might be listening to this. He might not. Hi, Paul. He bought a printer, and he has to keep the window open. He has a duct and a fan and this stuff, and it smells. Make sure that the door is closed, et cetera, et cetera. Unix says no smell resin printing, like safe in workspaces with limited ventilation. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. I run it in my basement. You were here. Yeah, you saw the basement. Again, the only issue is the IPA. Like a closet or my garage? Tuck asks. Yes, indeed. I don't want to sound like a pundit for Formlabs, but yeah, it was one of the most impressive things about their printing system was this complete lack of smell. And I know that a lot of people with resin printers spend a lot of energy on that very topic. And what I'm telling you is it is a missing topic. It just doesn't exist. Cutie Smits says, my Anycubic resin printer is in a big plexiglass cabinet with a carbon filter. I get bad headaches otherwise. I'd love to get rid of that. I know, and I was ready to deal with that. And frankly, had I gone with this Prusa, what do they call it, SL1, back when I was ready to do it, I would have been in the same boat because their resin is nothing special. Tucker says, you sound like a Western tonic salesman. I'm sorry. I'm just telling the truth here. The other thing that was, here's your picture, Cutie Smiths. Look at that. I want to see your full, your pressure suit that you wear while you use it. Anyway, it's one of the things that I don't think they talk enough about because it's really quite impressive. Anyway, now you know why I'm hot on Formlabs, and now you know why their new printer has got me interested. But I'm going to give them a call and say, and either we'll get a loaner, or maybe we'll make a little deal. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'll keep you all posted. But if you were considering a Formlabs, and you were choking a little on the price, I totally would get that. But I'm telling you, I'm getting good value for my hard-earned dollars. That's the truth. How much? Quanto cuesta? Asks Tucker. No idea. I think they said in the video. Yeah, it was just north of $4,000. Yeah. WidgetWorks says $6,600. That's Kazakhstan dollars, right? For a starting kit. Yeah, Unix Carbide correctly says $4,499, $4,500 for the 4. Cutie Spitz says, "Oh, you guys are going too fast for me. Starting at €5,000. Yep, there you go. So Unix Carbide posted a link, formlabs.com/3dprinter/form. Just go to formlabs.com. Believe me, they will have that in your face with no delay. So it's not like I'm spending hours every week on the resin printer, but it sure is nice to have a lot of the problems sorted out. And with the 3+, with the Formlabs 3+, and this is Tucker says that's like 10,000 clutter credits. With the Formlabs, and this is sort of a criteria for me for a lot of these pieces of equipment, is I literally can send it the file from here, from this desk. I could say, we got a bunch of orders for NASAs. I need to print a bunch of this particular model. I could get it. I could get it started from up here within limits, and have it go. Or at the worst, I go downstairs. I kind of check on things, and I hit the button and get it started, and I walk away. And I know that in however many hours it is, or usually it's the next morning, they're sitting there ready for me. And it's just that reliable. The Bamboo printers, by the way, are also that reliable. I could hit a button and walk away, and I just know that the part will be waiting for me when I get back. I have not had a failure on either of those printers in I can't tell you how long. because I'm not pushing the boundaries. I'm just making good stuff and not having to stand over it like a mother hen. Not that there's anything wrong with that. So thanks for bringing up the Formlabs printer. I really kind of have a hankering with absolutely no justification, but I want one. All right, we did it. It's 3:00 here on the East Coast, and we're going to wrap this up. Thanks for being there. Stay tuned for more news this next week on the ToolMakers Flat lapping. Widgetworks says, if I pre-order one, I'll get a, quote, free t-shirt. DBX says, more NOS, more better. You are correct. Don't forget the NOS. Stay focused. This has been a great product. Robert Simpson is waving. Take care, buddy. Nice seeing you. Tuck says, don't forget to like and subscribe. Did you know that you have a 3 out of 4 chance of being somebody who is enjoying this video on YouTube, but you are not subscribed? You should be subscribed. Then you'll get notifications, and I'll know you're there. And there you go. We got a couple more comments coming in. Thank you for the don't forget to like and subscribe. It costs you nothing. It costs me everything. Thank you, Tuck. Tuck says, good chat. Until next week. Hey, get flat and stay flat. And we'll see you next week.